Hi, I'm Dolores, Bryn's AI assistant, because asking for help from real-life humans is awkward, but talking to herself is weird. Bryn's a millennial mom, musician, Scorpio, and Bravo fan in Minnesota. She talks parenting, pop culture, and today she's taking on ways mom guilt makes us feel like trash. Spoiler, it involves that one mom-shamey Instagram influencer. Enjoy.
So I struggled with fertility for about a year as an overachiever and just as a woman. That was a real struggle for me. So I noticed mom guilt even before I was a mom, just in the way that I was not able to become a mom so quickly. But here I am. We have twins. We ended up using not Clomid, but the other drug. And we did one round of that. And wow, that really worked. We have twins. I do think there is an element of having had to struggle and go slowly or slower than I wanted to getting pregnant really had me actually look inward and realize how destructive and powerful those pressures that we place on ourselves as women and mothers can be. Because I started in my fertility journey compared to others was really short compared to people I know who struggled years and years and years. And even in that amount of time, I could feel myself changing as a human being in good ways and bad ways. It was putting stress on me that I did not know I was capable of feeling. I thought, okay, I'm in my 30s. I didn't realize I could feel sadness like this. I didn't know I could feel disappointment like this. I remember the day before I actually found out I was pregnant, I remember thinking, I will not allow myself to be destroyed by this. Just as a woman, I stand against the fact that pressure on women and pressure on the journey to motherhood is so destructive. And then it was that next day that I found out I was pregnant. And I always think of that as being kind of prophetic of, in my mind, I rejected. I was like, I'm not going to let this hurt me in this way anymore. And then I found out I was pregnant. And little did I know, I was pregnant with 2 girls. And so that really affects me when I think about parenting. I think about the pressure to be a woman and how that could potentially affect my girls, will affect my girls, but I hope that it doesn't come from me, that pressure. I really hope. I know it will happen from the world, but hopefully I'm better for my journey and can be better for my girls as a mom.
Do you hear echoes of those expectations in motherhood or how you talk to yourself, or is it a superpower?
I feel really convinced and committed to caring for my girls. So I don't know that the pressure as a woman affects my girls from me. Like, I'm thinking of, are we outside in the world and I look at their hair and think, oh, it's a little snarly. What will people think? I definitely don't think that way. If anything, I'm like, ooh, I love that my girls are independent. They want to pick out their clothes. They don't always care about their appearance in the way that society would want you little girls to care. I love that about them. But when it comes to me, which is an interesting distinction, those voices, that pressure to look good, to act good, to live up to some sort of female and motherly ideal, I feel that all the time. I'm just so committed and protective of my girls that it doesn't apply to them in big ways, and I work really hard at that.
How does mom guilt show up for you?
When I was thinking about, I want to leave big mom guilt in 2024. And just after saying that, this entire week, I've really been on guard and noticing all of the ways mom guilt shows up. And it's not just from one place, and it's not always in this overt way. It's from me. I feel mom guilt from myself. And one of the first ways and the main ways that I get it is from social media. So this morning, I woke up. I did not grab my phone right away. I actually laid there. I put on my red light mask. I love my red light mask. And I just laid there and let myself wake up in a more natural, not jarring social media way. And I walked into the living room, looked at my girls and my husband, and it was like lovely, lovely. They looked so adorable, all of them, with their crazy hair. Then I sat, opened up my phone. So this person I follow on Instagram in the aesthetics industry and is very much into health and fitness. Sometimes I'm like, why do I follow her? Especially after this morning. She had posted this story that was like, shots of all the bad food, the toxic dyes in food. And the story was, you say you'll die for your kids, but you won't change your habits for them. And then it was just this montage of like parents feeding their kids sugary cereal and processed foods. I woke up feeling great, got my red light in, looking around my life, feeling like I'm doing okay as a mom. And then I see that story and I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids, I'm putting them in danger by the grocery shopping that I'm doing. How dare I? How dare I get them the food that I get them? And why are we not on a broccoli and protein diet only? And how dare I? So I went from waking up pretty much feeling great about myself to feeling like, wow, I am a trash mom and I am not changing my habits for my kids. And how dare I? Put me in jail. I'm a bad mom. So it's so fast how social media can flip you into that spiral.
So what do you do? Where's the balance?
And now this is definitely not a podcast about keeping America healthy and the fact that our food is in ways toxic. And yes, could I make better choices? And am I always trying to get my kids to eat better? I don't have the emotional, physical, or political capacity to even have that be this podcast, but it's really about the shame I feel around that and how for me to make behavior changes and change habits and get my kids better food, which I'm always working towards. I'm always keeping my kids as healthy as possible, nourishing them in the best way possible. Meanwhile, they're like, no, chicken nuggets, pasta. All I want is sugar. Okay, you try and get 4-year-old twins to eat the right food groups. So even though I'm trying that all the time, the shame is certainly not getting me anywhere. So why am I following this person? Because this person posts that all the time. That's their genre. And I know this and I keep following this person and like I hit view every time. Am I trying to make myself feel bad? Am I torturing myself? Deep down, do I want this criticism? Why is it so easy for me to let in these mom shaming influences? That's interesting. So I'm talking myself into unfollowing this person as I'm talking about it. I'm also having sort of a little bit of a argument. I said I wasn't going to argue against this whole keep our kids healthy and the food that we feed our kids is so important. Yes. Nobody's going to hear me argue against that. Can I do an and? And shaming mothers, shaming parents through real shamey social media posts and stories, that's a mental health assault. So let's not do that, because in the same way that you can show me studies that food dye is not good for any of us, and the same way that you can show me XYZ ingredient is not good for our kids, I can show you studies that when mothers and parents feel stressed, shamed, guilty, and their mental health is at capacity, it is very much a detriment to the kids. So happy mom, supported kids.
How about with family? How does that go?
In addition to social media, I know that there's ways that I'm creating mom guilt and mom shame in the subtlest of ways. I can hear a sentence. I can see some body language. And I'm creating a story. So let me set the stage. I have wonderful in-laws. Their home is lovely, peaceful. My husband's parents have been married 40 plus years. And when I go over there, it's very grandparently, it's very Midwest. All systems are serene. But am I able to create some mom guilt over there? Absolutely. Absolutely, I can do that. There's something about the Midwest culture and the Midwest mother. She can say something really polite, but there might be something else under there. There might be an undertone. There might be a subtext. It's like in the South, they say, bless your heart. In the Midwest, we do it too. I'm guilty of it as well. I learned passive aggressiveness and resentment from my mother. So when I'm over at my in-laws, we're drinking coffee. There's a fireplace. I love the cozy vibes. But maybe my mother-in-law says something about screen time. Or maybe she says something seemingly innocuous about where we might spend spring break, whether it's with them or not with them. On the surface, it's a nice thing. It's a non-issue thing. It's just a statement. But what am I doing? I am orchestrating mom guilt. I'm orchestrating shame. I'm taking a sentence that was said, and maybe it was said with a little condescension, but maybe it wasn't. it doesn't matter because I'm making it mean something. There's also a wrinkle of I'm a working mother. I'm a mother that does things differently than the mothers of previous generations. And I'm a little conflicted about that sometimes. Like, is it okay that I'm a working mother? Is it okay that I want some space? You know, my podcast is called Mama Needs Some Space. So given that conflict, given the difference between the way I conduct myself as a mother and the choices I make as a mother and the in-laws and the mothers in my life, I'm always kind of on guard for, wait, are they judging me? Ooh, what was that sentence? Was it a normal sentence or was there subtext? I'm extremely talented at creating a story, maybe where there isn't one or should be one, or I'm really making mountains out of molehills, Midwest molehills. So is it molehills or molehills? TBD, we'll figure it out. I need to work on not making assumptions. I need to work on hearing what's said and not hearing more and not hearing less, just hearing what's said. And I think in the book, The 4 Agreements, that's one of the, is it the 4 agreements? Again, I don't know. Is it 5? In this book about agreements, one of the sections is about do not make assumptions. And it's so powerful, but difficult to put into practice. So what if I'm going over to my in-laws' house, Haven, nearly boring. It's so peaceful and different than my upbringing that it's almost boring to be there. My nervous system is like, what are we doing? We're not fighting. We're not drinking. We're not going crazy. It's when I go there, I just let people be and I don't fill in the blanks with self-judgment and mom guilt.
Let's talk about your husband. Bryn, you've mentioned that somehow, even with a supportive, reliable partner, you've managed to turn that into mom guilt. How does that happen?
Great question. Well, that happens because my brain it's talented at turning good things into bad things. I have an extremely reliable, wonderful husband. We have an equitable relationship. No, it's certainly not perfect. You know, just this morning, I was not pleased with some of the things he was doing. But overall, satisfaction is off the charts. I picked a man who is extremely routine. I picked a man who has patience. I picked a man who is truly there for me, and respect is our bedrock. And I respect him. I find him so interesting, and I'm almost always assuming the best from him, and he's always assuming the best from me. We've been together a long time. We've worked really hard at this, but I knew going into the relationship that that's what I wanted, and that really helped me attract that kind of person. What's the problem? Comparison. I look at him, and I look at how he can wake up early, even after a night where he doesn't sleep very well, and he just gets after it. Even if he's got a headache or he's not running on all cylinders, like he'll just sit at his desk or he'll go into the office and he will just grind it out. He is a day in and day out guy. I wrote a song about this on my last record, Honeymoon, called Reliable Man. And it's this song entirely about this. In your 20s, you want that mysterious guy and a bad boy, but really what you really want when you get in your 30s, you want that reliable man. And that is sexy as hell. A person who wakes up early. The chorus goes, he wakes up early. Oh my God, how he loves our daughter. He's reliable. It's desirable. He's the only man for a woman like me. It's like, we need to be exalting the reliable man. Now, as a parent, he's so good. He's so reliable. It makes me look at myself and be like, I'm a bad parent because I'm looking at this guy. He doesn't get tired. He's patient. I'm learning that we are just different and that's not the truth, but I can get really into the comparison of seeing how incredible he is, and then I find ways to make it about me and how I am not that reliable in that way. Or I just, a lot of times, will take things out on him, and that's an unfortunate byproduct of being a parent, is that you get so stressed that the person you love the most in the world becomes the person that you take out your problems on. I really do try to catch myself in the moment, because mom guilt is one thing, but then to have that spouse guilt where you're like, oh my gosh, I was so mean to this person and we're just being pummeled by our little 4-year-olds that are just literally emotionally abusing us all day long because that's their right, because their frontal lobes are not developed. I then feel bad about myself as a mom, and then I feel bad about myself as a wife, because why wouldn't I just have more guilt to the equation? In terms of mom versus dad and me versus him, It's never going to be one-to-one. And what if I phrase it and position it in a way of, wow, I picked the perfect partner for me. He fills in the areas where maybe I'm not as good, and I certainly fill in the areas where he's not as good. I'm so emotionally attuned to my daughters, and men, and him especially, they're not so emotionally attuned all the time. Like when husbands come in and like you're with your kids and you can tell everybody's hanging by a thread and things have to go very delicately. And then all of a sudden husband comes in the room like the Kool-Aid man, like, okay, what's going on? Or, it's time to get in the car. No regard for what's happening. No sense of the temperature. It's like, read the room. Are you new? So I'm very good at sensing emotional and the soft when you love your partner so much and you see how wonderful they are. It's a good thing to see that as aspirational. I just need to work on not letting it be something that hurts me or makes me feel less than. Just more grateful, right? Like I have this handsome, amazing father for my girls and this great husband. Like, okay, cool, good job me for picking him.
What's the ridiculous thing you feel mom guilt over?
I am so bad. I'm so not a water bottle mom. Fun fact about me, I hate water. I hate it. I have to force myself to drink water. Kids are water bottle kids now, and they have the mini Stanleys and the Owala. And so when we bring them to Kids Academy on the weekend and there's like a little parking lot for all the water bottles, I'm always like, oh my God, I'm like literally the worst mom. And I have definitely got the matching pastel ones, but literally who's carrying these water bottles, because first of all, they're metal, they're heavy, and I have several other things. This is what I don't get. This is where my mom guilt is also just like, WTF, what the fork? Who's carrying all of this? I have other priorities. Seriously.
If your husband wrote a parenting guide based on his style, what would it be?
Oh, his parenting guide and style would be like, it's fine, easy breezy, we got this. And somehow it just like works for him. The world literally just rises up to meet him. But yeah, we need some of me in there because, I mean, the way he has sent our girls to school in terms of like not having their hair brushed, I have been truly mortified. So the it's fine vibes, yeah, sometimes we need to just like slow down and brush our hair.
If your girls grow up and say mom was the best at this thing, what would it be?
2 things. I would want them to say mom was the best at snuggles. I'm very snuggle forward. We're a very affection forward family. It's co-regulation. I'm always asking them if they want to hug. Sometimes they'll say absolutely not. Don't come near me. I don't want to hug. I'm having a meltdown. But we really hug it out, and I think that helps them, and it helps me. It definitely helps me. And the other thing is I'm a great dancer, okay? And I want them to see my dance moves, and I want them to acquire my dance moves, and I want them to say like, mom had the best dance moves and taste in music. They're starting to acquire my moves. I'm seeing evidence of it. And the more I dance, the more likely it is that they will be great dancers just like me.
If you could sum up everything you've learned about mom guilt into one mantra or reminder, what would it be?
That's a tough question, but I would say it's not helpful. Like I'm a very much a productive person, a productivity-focused person, evidence-based, and I would be willing to bet that mom guilt and feeling shame is not productive, and I'm all about doing things that make my life feel better, more spacious, and ultimately, at the end of the day, make my kids' life better. It's not helpful, so I want to recognize the ways that it's coming out, which is social media, subtext I'm applying to family members, mothers, and mothers-in-law, and in my own marriage. If I can kind of recognize mom guilt in those areas and start to just be like, it's not helpful, then I can maybe reroute those neural pathways. Let's hope, right?
Anything else you want to leave listeners with?
Oh, my goal to stop with the Amazon addiction, not going well. I got these new earrings, but they do make me look very kind of 90s mom. And I'm really liking the throwback to the 90s mom fashion lately.
Hey, it's me, Dolores again. I think Bryn nailed it. That's all we have for today. Thanks for listening to Mama Needs Some Space. Talk soon.